We're finally here! The final battle of Book 1!
Yes, no thanks to you.
Are you still on about that?
To the end of time, wizard. Still, you were there at the beginning, so it's fitting that you're here for this milestone. From Team Evil starting things off to Team Goody-Good taking up the mission, the journey so far has been fun.
Yes, indeed. Hard to believe that this is only the first third of the whole thing. Book 1, The Evils of Haranshire, is but the beginning. Now it gets difficult.
Don't get ahead of yourself. They must still get through this scenario. The final battle with the Bloodskull Orcs. Yes, minions, today's a special one. A big battle, a special guest, and the conclusion of Book 1, The Evils of Haranshire. Pop some popcorn, settle in, and let's have at it. Roll the opener, imp. As always, the action is recreated using the order of the stick, monster for every season, cut-out minis. The players. Les as an Eshk, lawful good human paladin, level 6. Dave as Lee, lawful good human monk, level 6. Grant as Kindreth, neutral good half-elven fighter cleric of Lathander, level 4-4. Sean as Phallus, chaotic good elven thief, level 4. Ron as Callus, chaotic good human ranger, level 4. Claude as Tuck, lawful good human Kenzai, level 1. And the special guest player.
Hello, I'm the Old Geek, and I will be playing the Great Surprendo, lawful neutral human illusionist.
And of course, the henchman Boris, lawful good human ranger. The action picks up in Milbourne, where the group has returned to prep for their big press into the Bloodskull lair, now having acquired the 2 keys needed to open the great doors. Their previous ally, Ariana, has departed after spending a week with them, but in the interim they've met a new mercenary who is eager to help, the Great Surprendo. Surprendo shares his skills with the team. He's an accomplished illusionist. When illusions are mentioned, Phallus, ever so proud of his little trinket, goes to show off his magical ring. But he's quite alarmed when the magic no longer works. There is discussion among the group, and these clever boys immediately start to suspect Ariana had something to do with it. Phallus admits to having suspicions about her, but didn't speak up at the time. Aggravated, Quipper tells him to say something next time, as her intent could have been far worse than just stealing an item. The lawful neutral Surprendo points out that you can't arrest anyone on suspicions, but Quipper retorts that they can still keep an eye on sketchy people. Eshk gives a speech to the militia hoping to recruit a few sword arms. Jackson immediately opts to return, and with him are a few others this time. They equip the retainers for battle. As well, each member of the party is given 2 full water skins. Enough water for 2 days, iron ration purchased for 2 weeks per person, and the team prepares for the long journey into the lair of the Bloodskulls. When asked about the water, it's mentioned that Kindreth is capable of casting Create Water to supplement the supplies. Ready for action, the party travels from Milbourne to the Garlston mines, and then into the depths. Traveling through the mine, Surprendo sees strange sights for the first time. The flitch of bacon, eggs, the waterfall. They go straight down, however, no dawdling to admire the beauty. The trip is a 4-day march through the passages, each day marked by a number of encounter checks. Another wrinkle persists, as Kindreth, the cleric of Lathander, needs to pray for magic at the dawn. But without the sun to guide them, he does not know when the dawn is. He does his best to guess, and uses magic only sparingly, barring the necessary casting of Create Water at the 2-day mark. On day 1, the team stops as some fire beetles scuttle across the path up ahead, but they don't seem aggressive, so the group leaves them alone, then moves on once the beetles are gone. On day 2, during the group's rest at what they assume is night, they are attacked out of the shadows of the caves by none other than their quarry, the Bloodskulls. Surprise is rolled, and the team is caught off guard. Thanks to their high dexterity scores, Lee and Surprendo eliminate the segments of surprise against them, but the orcs still gain their tripled rate of fire for having missiles ready. Tuck takes a hit that knocks him to 0 hit points exactly, a knockout strike. Fortune favors the team as a similar blow knocks one of their NPC retainers out in the same fashion. On his action, The monk lead dashes into the center of the orc archers, killing one outright with the first attack, but also by landing within melee range of the others, preventing their subsequent attacks with bows. They are forced to throw down the missile fire and draw melee weapons. Suprendo casts a phantasmal force, making it seem as though monstrous tentacles erupt from the dead orc.
Tentacles, John? Are you channeling your inner Cthulhu?
Yes, tentacles. What's wrong with tentacles? They're all, lovely and slimy and suckery and what's not to like?
This catches the orcs off guard, and the DM rules that this prompts a morale check. He rolls the dice, but morale holds and they keep fighting. Callus sends his war dog forth, but the orcs cut the animal down before it can do any damage. Surprise being the only chance these orcs would have against such a mighty force, the orcs learn what power truly looks like as the group utterly demolishes the orc squad in the next couple of rounds, without taking so much as another lick. With Tuck and the NPC counting their blessings that the hits they took didn't critically injure them, the team rests up and continues their advance. On day 3 of the journey, another, albeit smaller group of orcs attempts to get the drop on the team, but this time there is no surprise, and the orcs become mushroom food without so much as a second thought. On day 4, Callus detects something ahead with his keen senses, but as it's out of the radius of light, they are unsure, so form up for action. Suprendo has the others put away their continual light token, and casts a dancing light spell up ahead, allowing the team to watch from a hidden place of their own while the light up ahead illuminates whatever might threaten them. A massive beetle emerges, following the dancing lights, seemingly confused by them. It is believed to be a bombardier beetle, something the group knows not to get close to. Using the lights for a distraction, they bombard with missile fire from the shadows. They connect with several solid hits, prompting morale, which fails. The beetle scurries away. The group continues forward, though keeping an eye out in case it comes back. After the long 4-day trek, the group finally arrives at the bronze doors. They are tired from the journey and wouldn't be at their best for combat, so it is decided that they will rest down the corridor while watching the doors. During third watch, Aneshka and Phallus are stationed near the bronze doors while the rest of the team rests out of sight. One of the NPC retainers is on watch at camp with Boris, the ranger henchman. A silent threat glides towards the group, and surprise is rolled. Normally, 1 in 3 chance for this creature, but with the ranger it becomes a 1 in 2 chance. A 3 is rolled, thus avoiding any surprise. But the distance from the group is only 20 feet. Boris sees a massive translucent cube emerge into the light and calls out. Phallus and Aneshk hear this after the DM permits a hear noise check, so they prepare to run back to the rest. The group loses initiative and the cube glides forward to the retainer, scoring a hit and drawing him into the mass. The others wake up and scramble to fight it. Some hits land against the cube, but not enough to kill it. In the next round, the cube attacks Tuck and hits, but his saving throw is made, avoiding paralyzation. Phallus and Aneshk arrive on the scene, but at this point the group is fully awake and fighting. A bombardment of hits kills the creature, causing it to lose consistency and melt into nothingness. They try to revive the retainer, but it's too late. Among the detritus left by the cube, they find some coins and an intact scroll tube. Inside is a clerical scroll with 4 spells: Cure Light Wounds, Resist Cold, Part Water, and Animate Object. Kindrith packs the tube away. After their rest, Kindrith attempts to pray for a few spells he's expended, but finds his prayers yield nothing, indicating that he's missed his window of the morning and will have to make do with what he has. The group makes a plan of attack for once they are through the doors. Unfortunately, not knowing exactly what could be waiting for them on the other side of the doors, there's only so much they can plan for. Suprendo has a scroll of mass morph and suggests using it to confuse the orcs by having the group disguised as trees. Kindrith prepares to bless the group. Formed up and ready, Aneshk opens the doors with the keys, and they advance. Suprendo casts mass morph, but as it's a scroll and of a higher level than he is normally capable of casting, there's a 20% chance of spell failure, with an additional possibility of an unpleasant spell reversal. John casts the dice, and the spell fails.
Look, it's not my fault. In the School of Illusionary Magic, they taught me to do this, and this scroll did this, and...
But fortunately, it only fails. There is no reversal. There are no orcs in the immediate vicinity of light, but they do hear calls in the darkness from the orcs to rally up, as there are intruders. The team moves slowly forward, ready for action, but soon enough a group of orcs emerges to attack, 8 orcs ahead, and 4 from a passage to the right. An orc with a crossbow shoots and hits Lee. The monk rolls for his ability to deflect missile fire, but the roll fails and he takes a hit. Kindrith casts Hold Person at 4 orcs, all but 1 making their saves. Suprendo casts color spray from a scroll and blasts 4 on the side passage into unconsciousness. Callus and Suprendo both move up to dispatch the unconscious orcs. The battle with these orcs is going well, but reinforcements arrive. A massive fighting force that includes another dozen orcs, the chieftain, some priests of Grumsh, an old orc hag, a brutal orog, and the human priestess Shylek. The front line of orcs, along with the orog with a very long spear, move to engage. The orog with the long spear attacks from the back rank. The enemy priest casts Hold Person, freezing Boris. Another casts Curse, getting Aneshk, Lee, and Boris in the same area of effect, but the rest of the team are out of range. Kindreth's Bless and the Orc's Curse cancel each other out over a couple of rounds before the Bless ends. Aneshk and Lee battle orcs in melee. Kindreth moves up to join. Tuck uses the open space to position himself at range with his Ranseur, moving around the battlefield. Callus moves up and around the side passage while Suprendo follows. 3 giant lizards emerge. 2 lizards move on Callus, 1 on Lee. A new round begins. Kindreth and Suprendo declare spells, as do the orc priests from behind the safety of their shield wall. Initiative is rolled, and the team wins. Kindreth casts silence at the orcs protecting their priest, disrupting their own casting. The 2 orc priests toss warhammers in an attempt to cast spiritual hammers, but the silence ruins that and the hammers clunk down harmlessly. Suprendo casts Phantasmal Force, creating a gelatinous cube over the lizards. This confuses them, and they hiss and attack the cube, taking the pressure off of Callus. 1 strikes, but Suprendo manipulates the illusion to dodge. This after a quick discussion and confirmation that the illusion is only dispelled if the illusionist doesn't have it react in a realistic way. The DM ultimately rules that a 46 roll against his dexterity will enable him to react quickly enough. Suprendo rolls a 17 against his 18 dexterity. Success. I like that, minions. Having the illusionists roll against their dexterity to manipulate their illusions on the fly. It ties in with the need for a high dex and provides stakes in the game. During the battle, the lizard on Lee scores 2 hits, 1 normal and 1 natural 20, which for this creature is double damage, as well as subsequent continued automatic damage. Aneshk hits the lizard with a heavy blow, while Lee uses daggers and manages to kill it while it's giving him the death shake, but before it can get additional damage. Callus kills a lizard in the next round, and the other lizard hits the cube again. This time, Suprendo's dex check fails with a roll of 19 against his 18 dexterity, and the illusory cube is dispelled. Suprendo moves back around to watch the main fight, looking for a chance to use his next big spell, staying close to Tuck for protection. 2 orcs from the mass charge Callus after the cube is gone, hurting him significantly, but not killing him on the attack, leaving him to fight 2 orcs and a giant lizard single-handedly. Meanwhile, the priests use a round to spread out and get out of the zone of silence. 2 of them back out far enough to cast. 1 orc casts a spell on Aneshk and Kindreth, but there doesn't seem to be an immediate effect, and no saving throw is called for. The battle rages on. No morale is rolled as these orcs are fanatics, as are the priests of Grumsh and Ace-Erik. Normally, of course, liberal use of morale rolls would apply, but as this is a special case, these particular orcs and their allies are fighting to the death. Kindreth and Aneshk start to feel very hot under the collar, so to speak, and it soon becomes apparent they have been affected by a heat metal spell. These valiant, if none too bright warriors elect to tough through the pain rather than remove their armor, though Kindreth does adjust his position from his original spot to test to see if leaving the area negates the spell. It does not. Phallus uses positioning to get as many rear shots as possible against the enemies, and strangely enough, even though targeting in combat is randomized by the dice, the 2 elves in the combat are favored as targets by the orcs. As they should be, as orcs absolutely hate elves. These dice truly understand the game, minions. The orcs at the back line order a charge, and those not in the silence charge immediately. The others take a round before doing so as they can't hear the order, but see the charge and follow suit. The tide turns as Leaf falls to deadly attacks, going to -4 hit points on a final blow, which is instant death, whereas going to -3 would mean bleeding out. The Orog's attempts to hit the paladin fail, and Aneshk battles bravely through the searing pain of the heat metal. A group of orcs charges at the other part of the group to the south. The rest of the retainers fall to this barrage, except Jackson, who manages to keep fighting bravely, overcoming his fear. The old orc shamanist moves to advise the Orog, who's having trouble piercing Aneshk's armor. In the next round, he throws his spear down and tackles Aneshk to the ground, the burning armor damaging him as well, but leaving Aneshk prone and vulnerable to a series of brutal attacks. Even the orc shamaness with her Wolverine claws gets a nasty hit in. Aneshk pushes himself to his feet and counters, but finally succumbs to the heat metal and passes out. Callus single-handedly defeats the two orcs and the lizard, though not before taking some heavy licks. He advances on the Orog in the nick of time to prevent any coup de grace on the unconscious paladin. Kindrith also falls unconscious to the effects of the heat metal as he battles an orc. Suprendo, seeing his chance, moves into place and casts Hypnotic Pattern. The spell enthralls two of the Mook orcs, allowing Phallus and Tuck to advance to the main fight, and Jackson to end the helpless enthralled orcs. Suprendo eventually moves up, maintaining the pattern and ensnaring the two priests of Grumpsh in the spell as well, removing them from the fight. Callus runs the Orog through. At this point, the non-combatant women and children of the orc tribe are seen running for the exit. Tuck considers blocking their passage, but stays in the fight with his friends, eventually running to the door after they've gone to make sure no one comes back from the rear. They don't turn out to pose a problem in the long run. The team kills the enthralled and helpless orcs. Suprendo adjusts position and enthralls the rest of the enemies, all but the human priestess, Shylek, whose wisdom bonus allows her to resist the effects.
Hey, John, your illusionist probably just single-handedly saved this whole campaign. What do you say to that?
But of course, never underestimate the power of illusionary magic. Forget your fireballs and your swinging swords. Just mess with their minds.
Tuck returns to the group for the final push, and the remaining combatants descend on her. She withdraws after again resisting the pattern, averting her eyes, but the group is too fast and keeps up. She is unable to get away. Tuck disarms her deadly sickle with his ranseur, leaving her unarmed, and the team continues the assault. In the final round of battle, Tuck scores a solid blow with full damage of his ranseur, followed by Phallus finishing her off with a short sword thrust, concluding the battle and ending the menace of the Bloodskulls and their Ace-Erik allies. The group finds a prisoner dwarf, a relative of Old Grizzler. Shortly after the battle, as the group is searching the area, a large force of gnomes emerges, but they are not hostile. They are deep gnomes, or Svrvneblin. The leader, a wizened old gnome crone, addresses the group, stating that the defeat of the orcs is only the beginning of a greater threat, and there is much for them to discuss. And thus concludes Book 1 of the Night Below campaign, The Evils of Haranshire.
Well, minions, this has been quite the journey, to say the least. But here we are at last, the conclusion of Book 1. It all started out so innocently, the DM seeing a sale on DriveThruRPG for a print-on-demand copy of the Night Below campaign, and then ordering it. Having previously played a couple of sessions as a player, he had no idea what the full breadth of the campaign actually entailed. So, it was added to his ongoing 1st edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons campaign, which at that point had grown into 2 splinter groups, Team Evil and Team Good. Since Team Evil were members of the Assassin's Guild, it was easy enough to assign them a mission. That being to track down Ranchifus, who for the purposes of this campaign was a former priest of Mask. Diverging from the starting scenario as printed a Night Below, this team was to track down Ranchifus and discover this new faith he had converted to. The faith, of course, having been revealed to be Ace-Erik, an emerging god from the events of the Time of Troubles. Eventually, the group of players on Team Evil dissolved, leaving only the main group of Team Good, who were at the time hunting Bargle the Infamous, classic Beckme villain, and subsequently offered the mission from the Church of Lathander to investigate the Assassin's Guild's interest in Haranshire. Well, the Paladin Anesh was offered, the rest are his friends, and joined in to support. Given that the entire module is 64 pages, I think I'll just do a separate video as a dedicated review to its entirety, rather than give my overall impression here, instead focusing on the events of the session. As a final battle, it certainly brought the dramatic tension. The dice did their part in the ups and downs. Being 4 days into the underground tunnels means retreat for the players is not an option, and the Bloodskull orcs are cornered in their lair, fighting to the death, due to a fanatical morale imbued by a magic item. That's right, minions. There were other forces at play. This is definitely something that requires a large group. A small party with no soldier support will get butchered quite fast. Even this large party with mid-level PCs struggled to fight the orcs, and for a moment there, it looked as though they might be done for. The module does indicate that this will be a tough fight, and it is certainly a fight the players must earn. The orcs are tough and varied. The Orog, the 3 lizards, and the priests make for some extra wrinkles. Now, as this is a module intended for 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the priests have access to certain magic that doesn't normally align with first ed options. Some players, and even DMs, will cry foul to this,
as there seems to be a mindset that all of the rules must be 100% consistent across the board. No minions, shed that line of thought. A general consistency, sure, but there are always and should always be exceptions and variation. Yes, the DM could have gone over the book and changed every little detail, but that seems to be folly. The orc priest having spells that human priests can't have isn't going to break the game, so moving on. I enjoy the complement of enemies in the orc lair and feel that it's a well laid out situation. A good finale for the module, so no real complaints here. My only gripe, which I will repeat from the last episode, is the silliness around the bronze doors. The quest to find the 2 keys to open them before advancing to a boss battle. Complete and utter video game crap. The DM here played it out as written, when just ignoring it once the players knew where to go would have been far more expedient. But it did require some adjustment based on player actions throughout the game. I feel, rather than an impassable door that requires special keys acquired from mini-bosses, a fortified underground lair at the end of a complex subterranean labyrinth would suit just as well. Defeating the priests of Ace-Erik instead garnering potential information about how to get there. Then, detailed sections about these underground tunnels with descriptions to evoke the feel of it, a teeming ecosystem, and a far more complex map that's designed to stymie players, something that's easy to get lost in, but a possibility to explore and farm much adventure out of. That would also serve the purpose of getting the players used to adventuring in the Underdark, something that will be very necessary as the campaign progresses. As it stands, the underground tunnels are just a tedious, multi-day slog through narrow corridors with the occasional encounter. Certainly not a highlight of the scenario, especially as a conclusion to the otherwise wonderful above-ground open-world setup of the mystery surrounding the county of Haranshire. There is also, of course, the cutscene ending which introduces the Svirfneblin. They are a key player in the coming events, so the author has them arrive after the battle. That's written right into the module. For this session, as the orc battle took a long time in real life, and there was a need to conclude quickly, the DM was forced to introduce the gnomes and then cut to black, so to speak, instead of role-playing it out normally. All of that banter and info dump will begin the next session when the campaign picks up again, and we dive into Module 2. Keep an eye out, minions, for upcoming review caps. The next mini-series will stray away from Night Below for a spell, as the team deals with an important mission before the conclusion of the Time of Troubles. The events of this prompts the players to split their troop into a suicide squad of sorts, pursuing a major artifact that will aid in the mission below Haranshire. In short, a special side quest tackling an as-of-yet undisclosed classic module, after which we return to Haranshire and discover the perils of the Underdark. And so, minions, I bid you adieu. I hope you've enjoyed the journey so far, with its ups and downs, lefts and rights, yet much more still looms. Rest assured, we shall be returning to Haranshire before you know it. Stay tuned, and ta for now.